A human warship enters the war zone, brace for impact. HFY sci-fi story. The universe had always known peace. At least, the old civilizations had, until the alien invaders arrived. They brought their towering warships, advanced technology, and cold, calculating minds. It was supposed to be the final blow to a weak, fragmented species, but they underestimated one thing: the human spirit. And now, humanity was entering the war zone. The USS Titan was unlike any other warship in the galaxy. She was massive, built for speed and destruction, and her hull was a symbol of human ingenuity. She wasn't just a ship, she was a living testament to what humans could achieve when pushed to the brink. As she emerged from the void of space, her crew felt the weight of their mission. Inside the command center, Captain Elisa Vallon stood tall, her eyes fixed on the holographic display in front of her. She had seen horrors in her time, countless battles, fallen comrades, and the endless echoes of death. But there was something different about today, something in the air, something in the way the Titan hummed with power. "All stations report," she barked, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the room. "Energy systems at full capacity, Captain," said Lieutenant Samuels, his fingers dancing over the console. "We're ready for whatever comes." "Shields holding steady, weapons are primed," added Commander Tarkov, his gruff voice a welcome reminder of the seasoned crew. His alien origins, half human, half Kren, always made his reports stand out. Humans, however, had a unique way of blending their adaptability with the strength of other species. Tarkov was a living embodiment of that. "Good, because we're about to hit the heart of the war zone." Captain Vallon's voice was calm, but there was a fire in her eyes. "All hands, brace for impact. The enemy won't know what hit them." The Titan cruised closer to the enemy fleet. The galaxy's greatest threat was gathered here, an alliance of alien species that had crushed worlds without mercy. They thought humanity would be next. They were wrong. In the distance, the invaders' warships loomed. They were massive, built for a singular purpose: destruction. Their weapons crackled with unrelenting energy, and their armor could withstand the fiercest of assaults. But none of that mattered. Elisa Vallon had a secret weapon that no one else in the galaxy could replicate: humanity's relentless will to survive. "Captain, they're locking onto our ship," Samuels shouted. "Incoming missile barrage in 3, 2. Evade," Vallon barked, her fingers flying across her own command console. The Titan twisted in space, dodging the incoming missiles with unnatural agility. The crew gasped as they felt the ship surge to life. The Titan wasn't just a machine, it was an extension of the human heart, and it pulsed with life. With every sharp turn, with every precise strike, it felt like it was feeding off their determination. "Now, Captain," Tarkov shouted, "targeting systems are locked onto the lead ship." Vallon didn't hesitate. "Fire everything." The Titan unleashed hell. Plasma cannons, railguns, and missiles burst forth in a synchronized storm of death. Each blast hit with the force of 1,000 stars colliding. Alien warships disintegrated in bursts of fire, their shields useless against the sheer power of human ingenuity. But the enemy didn't retreat. They fought back harder, calling in reinforcements from the depths of space. "Brace for impact," Vallon shouted again as the ship lurched forward. The hull groaned under the strain, but the shields held. The Titan was built for this moment. She wasn't just designed for war, she was forged by the will of a species that would not be extinguished. As the battle raged on, the Titan tore through the enemy lines, one ship at a time. Her crew, every one of them, was a testament to human resilience. There was no room for doubt. There was no hesitation. The humans aboard this ship weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their future, for their very right to exist in a universe that had once thought them weak. And then, the unthinkable happened. The largest enemy warship, an ancient relic of a fallen empire, moved to strike the Titan. It was massive, nearly 10 times the size of their own ship. Its weapons could obliterate planets, but Elisa Vallon knew that the human spirit was stronger. "Full speed ahead," she ordered. "Target their core and fire everything we've got." With a defiant roar, the Titan charged straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. Plasma beams lanced out, tearing through the void. The alien ship's hull cracked open, but it wasn't enough. "We won't make it," Samuels said, his voice low, almost resigned. Vallon turned to him, her eyes burning with resolve. No, we will make it. We're human. We never give up. In that moment, the Titan erupted into a brilliant burst of light, her weapons firing one final, catastrophic barrage. The enemy ship's core ignited, and the shockwave rippled through the galaxy. The enemy fleet scattered, their morale shattered. The battle was over. The Titan had entered the war zone, and humanity had left its mark on the universe. The invaders would never forget the name of the human warship that destroyed their fleet. They would remember that when it seemed like all was lost, a human warship had come from nowhere, and it had brought the fight to them. And in the end, it was the humans who had emerged victorious. Epilogue. Captain Elisa Vallon stood on the observation deck, looking out into the void. The Titan had survived. The war wasn't over, but humanity had proven something important today. The universe had underestimated them, and they had no idea what was coming next. Ready the fleet for the next phase, Vallon said, her voice steady and filled with quiet confidence. The war was far from over, but humanity was no longer afraid. A human warship enters the war zone, brace for impact. HFY Sci-Fi story, continued. The aftermath of the battle left the Titan surrounded by the shattered remnants of the alien fleet. The stars twinkled through the debris, but the war was far from over. The victory, while monumental, was merely the first chapter in humanity's ongoing fight for survival. As the crew of the Titan worked to repair the ship and count their fallen comrades, they knew that their enemies would regroup, adapt, and return with more fury than before. But for now, humanity had struck a blow that would echo across the galaxy for eons. On the bridge, Captain Vallon paced, the weight of leadership pressing down on her shoulders. Her mind was focused on the next step, the unknowns that lay ahead. The enemy would be furious, but they had seen firsthand what a human warship was capable of. That thought alone was worth its weight in gold. Captain, Lieutenant Samuel's voice broke through her thoughts. We've received a message from the High Command. They're ready to initiate the next phase of the operation. Vallon nodded. Good. Let them know we're prepared. We're not stopping here. She turned to face her crew. The steady hum of the Titan's systems, the only sound that filled the room. We've shown them that humanity will not be beaten. But now, we need to go on the offensive. It's time to bring the war to their doorstep. As she spoke, the bridge crew was already moving to execute her orders, their actions efficient and instinctive. It was clear to Vallon that the Titan was more than just a warship. It was a symbol of everything that humanity stood for: courage, ingenuity, and an unyielding drive to protect those they loved. Captain, Tarkov's voice cut through, his tone unusually calm. We've detected a massive fleet approaching. This one is different. It's bigger. Vallon turned to him sharply. What do you mean? Tarkov's eyes narrowed as he examined the data. They've gathered an entire armada. But what stands out is the ship at the center of it. It's unlike anything we've seen before, a massive dreadnought, bigger than anything in their previous fleet. Why are they coming after us now? Vallon asked, her voice steely with determination. They know what we're capable of, Tarkov replied. They've learned the hard way, and they won't stop until they've wiped us out. Vallon clenched her fists. Then we make sure that doesn't happen. Ready the Titan and prepare for a full-scale assault. We're going to hit them first. With each passing second, the enemy fleet drew closer. It was no longer just a war for survival. This was a war for humanity's place in the universe. They would no longer be the underdogs, cowering in the shadow of alien supremacy. They would stand tall and fight, not only for themselves, but for every race that had ever been oppressed by the invaders. The Titan slid through the stars, maneuvering towards the heart of the enemy armada. On the bridge, the crew's focus was absolute, their hearts beating in sync with the pulse of the ship. All systems at full power, Samuels confirmed. Weapons primed, shields ready. We're good to go, Captain. Vallon stood before her crew, every eye on her. She could feel their trust, their resolve. These were the same men and women who had fought tooth and nail to protect Earth, to push back against an unstoppable force. And now, they were ready to face the wrath of an entire armada. It's time to show them the true might of humanity, Vallon said, her voice low and filled with quiet fury. We fight not because we have to, but because we are human, and no one, is going to take that away from us. Captain, Tarkov's voice rang out with urgency. They're launching an attack. Brace for impact, Vallon shouted. The Titans swerved as alien plasma bursts scorched past them, narrowly missing the hull. Their shields flared, holding firm against the barrage. But the enemy was relentless. This was not just another skirmish. This was war. The battle would decide the fate of humanity. Target their dreadnought, Valen commanded. Give them everything we've got. The Titan roared into action, its weapons lighting up the void. Railguns spat deadly projectiles, while plasma cannons unleashed torrents of searing energy. The alien ships tried to retaliate, but the Titan was too fast, too precise. Its weapons punched through the enemy shields with unerring accuracy, turning their colossal ships into burning husks. The dreadnought, however, was a different beast, massive and heavily armored. It seemed to shrug off their attacks as if they were nothing more than minor irritants. The Titan could not outgun it, at least. Not yet. We need to breach its core, Tarkov muttered, studying the readouts. The ship's defenses are too thick to punch through with conventional fire. We'll have to get up close, Valen decided. Prepare for a boarding action. Samuels looked at her, alarm in his eyes. Boarding the dreadnought? Are you insane? I'll take that as a compliment, Lieutenant, she replied, a grin tugging at her lips. This is humanity we're talking about. We never back down. With a series of swift commands, the Titan aligned itself with the alien dreadnought. The maneuver was daring, but it was the only choice. Valen's heart pounded in her chest as the ship surged forward, dodging incoming fire with expert precision. Then, as if guided by fate, the Titan slammed into the enemy ship's hull, sending shockwaves through the crew. The massive dreadnought's outer defenses crumpled beneath the assault, leaving a gaping breach. Boarding teams, move out, Valen ordered, her voice fierce. With every step, the human warriors stormed the enemy ship, their boots heavy on the alien vessel's cold metal floors. The invaders had no idea what hit them. Humans, in their element, were unstoppable. The war was far from over, but today, humanity had taken one more step toward ensuring their place in the stars. The universe would know their name. Humanity had come to fight, and they were never going to stop. Epilogue. As the last of the invaders were driven from the alien dreadnought, the Titan's crew stood victorious once more. The once mighty enemy had been shattered, and humanity had shown them what true resilience looked like. But even as the Titan turned its gaze to the next battlefield, one thing was certain. The universe had been forever changed. The age of human dominance had begun, and there was no going back. The Titan had entered the war zone, and now, humanity was here to stay. A human warship enters the war zone, brace for impact. HFY Sci-Fi story, continued. The aftermath of the battle left the Titan in a tenuous position. The crew had won, but the cost had been high. Many lives had been lost in the boarding action, and the once pristine warship was now scarred by the marks of battle. Yet, as Captain Valen stood in the command center, looking over the aftermath, she felt a quiet pride in what they had accomplished. The invaders' dreadnought had fallen, but they were far from finished. The galaxy's oldest empires were more than just armies, they were bound by the singular, unrelenting pursuit of power. If humanity wanted to survive, they needed to continue their offensive, to make the enemy understand that this war would be their undoing. Captain, we've got a signal from the High Command, Lieutenant Samuel said, his voice breaking the silence. They want us to meet with the rest of the fleet. There's something new in the works. Valen turned toward him, brow furrowed. Something new? We're about to find out, Samuels replied, tapping his console to patch through the transmission. The screen flickered, then settled into a steady feed. The image of Admiral Healy appeared, his tired eyes and graying hair spoke volumes about the toll this war had taken on him. But there was something else, a spark, a sense of urgency. Captain Valen, Healy's voice crackled through the calm. I'll cut straight to the point. We've been working on a project, an alliance of human colonies and several sympathetic species. We've created a weapon, something that could tip the scales in our favor. Valen's heart skipped a beat. A weapon? How soon can we deploy it? Admiral Healy paused for a moment, his expression darkening. We've launched the first phase of the operation, but there's one more obstacle. A fleet of alien reinforcements is inbound, and their command ship is equipped with technology far beyond anything we've faced. If we don't act now, they'll obliterate us all. Valen's hand tightened into a fist. This wasn't just another battle. This was the final fight for humanity's future. Where do we need to be? You'll be the tip of the spear, Captain, Healy said, his tone resolute. We need the Titan to breach their lines and disable their command ship. The reinforcements will follow. And once we take out the command ship, the fleet will collapse. This is our best shot. Understood, Admiral, Valen replied, her voice unwavering. We'll do our part. Prepare to deploy the weapon. As the transmission ended, Valen turned to her crew. You heard him. This is it. We finish this war today. No more running. No more hiding. We're going to hit them where it hurts the most, right at the heart of their command. The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as the crew scrambled to execute her orders. The Titan would lead the charge, not just as a warship, but as the symbol of humanity's relentless will to fight. The final assault. The Titan tore through the stars, her engines pushing the ship forward at maximum velocity. The fleet of enemy reinforcements was coming into view, a massive armada, larger than anything they had faced before. But Valen wasn't intimidated. The Titan had already proven its power, and with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, there was no room for fear. The target was clear, the alien command ship, a behemoth of unmatched size and technology, floated ominously in the center of the fleet. It was heavily protected by layers of shields, advanced countermeasures, and weapons capable of decimating entire fleets. It would take everything the Titan had to breach its defenses. Full throttle, Valen commanded. Prepare to fire all weapons at maximum capacity. We go in fast, we go in hard, and we take that ship down. The crew nodded, and the Titan surged forward, dodging fire from the enemy fleet. Explosions erupted around them, but the ship held together, its shields flaring with each hit. Incoming fire, Captain, Samuels warned. They're targeting our engines. We can't afford to slow down, Valen snapped. Push forward, full power to the weapons. The Titan unleashed a wave of devastating fire, hitting the alien ships in rapid succession, but the command ship remained a formidable target, its shields absorbing the blows without flinching. This isn't enough, Tarkov said, his voice grim. We need a way in. We'll make one, Valen replied, determination hardening her features. Prepare to deploy the boarding pods. We're going in close. Captain, the reinforcements are closing in fast, Samuels said, panic creeping into his voice. If we don't act now, we'll be surrounded. I know, Valen said through gritted teeth, but if we don't take that command ship, nothing else matters. The Titan shot toward the command ship, getting dangerously close to its shields. The space between them shrank, and just as the enemy's defenses opened fire, Valen ordered the Titan to pull up, narrowly avoiding the brunt of the attack. Deploy the boarding pods now, Valen barked. The Titan's pods shot out from their launch bays, screaming toward the enemy command ship like missiles of vengeance. The crew watched with bated breath as the pods made impact, embedding themselves into the hull of the enemy dreadnought. Explosions rocked the command ship as human marines flooded the enemy vessel, moving quickly, methodically, like a swarm of locusts intent on consuming their prey. Boarding teams are engaged, Captain, Tarkov reported. We've breached their inner sanctum. They're putting up a fight, but we're moving fast. Valen's voice was a steely whisper. Keep pushing. Disable their command systems. We don't stop until that ship is ours. The turning point. For what felt like an eternity, the Titan fought at the heart of the enemy fleet. The battle waged outside, but inside the command ship, humanity's finest were methodically dismantling the heart of the invaders' empire. The Marines fought tooth and nail, clearing the enemy's corridors, storming their control centers, and cutting off their communications. It was then that Valen received the message she had been waiting for. Captain, we've disabled their command systems, Tarkov reported, his voice breaking with emotion. Their central core is down. Their fleet is collapsing. Valen's chest swelled with triumph. The galaxy will remember this day, she said softly. Enemy ships are retreating, Samuels called. They're falling back. Captain, we've won. But Valen knew that this wasn't just a victory for the Titan and its crew, it was a victory for humanity, for every world, every colony, and every individual who had been oppressed by the invaders. The universe had finally learned the cost of underestimating mankind. Epilogue, the legacy of humanity. Months passed since the final assault. The Titan and her crew had become legends, the harbingers of humanity's defiance in the face of impossible odds. The invaders had been routed, their empires crumbling. The galaxy had been irrevocably changed. As Valen stood on the deck of the Titan, looking out into the stars, she knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had proven its strength, and the universe would never forget the day a human warship entered the war zone and turned the tide of history. Humanity had shown the galaxy that no one, not even the most powerful empire, could stand against the unbreakable will of a united people. And from that moment onward, the universe would tremble at the thought of the human warships emerging from the stars. Humanity had arrived. And they were here to stay. A human warship enters the war zone, brace for impact. HFY Sci-Fi story, continued. The Titan drifted through the quiet aftermath of the battle. The vast emptiness of space stretched before her, a reminder that even in victory, there were still countless challenges ahead. The victory had been hard-won, but Valen knew the universe would never forget the strength of humanity's resolve. Still, the battle for humanity's place in the stars was far from over. Captain Valen stood in the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. The Titan had returned to the rear, battered but intact. The entire crew had endured countless trials, but now, they had time to breathe. The ship was in need of repairs, the crew needed rest, but Valen couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was fleeting. The war wasn't over. Captain, Tarkov's voice interrupted her thoughts, bringing her back to reality. I've been going through the intel. There's more, something bigger than we expected. Valen turned to him, her brow furrowing. What do you mean? Tarkov held up a datapad, his finger tracing the holographic display of enemy movements. It's not just about the fleets anymore. The invaders have begun something else, something larger, something that could reshape the entire galaxy. They're pulling resources from every corner of the universe. They're planning a final strike. A final strike? Valen echoed. Against us? Not just us, Tarkov replied, his eyes narrowing. Against everything. The whole galaxy is in their sights. And it's not just about weapons anymore. They've discovered something, an ancient weapon that's said to be capable of erasing entire systems from existence. If they activate it, no one will be safe. Valen's pulse quickened. Where is it? Deep within the heart of their territory, Tarkov said. We don't know exactly where, but it's heavily guarded. This weapon could tip the balance of the entire war. Valen didn't need any more information. She turned to her crew, her voice steady but resolute. Prepare the Titan. We're going after it. If the enemy thinks they can end this war with a single blow, they're about to find out just how wrong they are. We're bringing the fight to their doorstep. The Titan began to hum with life once more, engines roaring to life as the crew executed their orders with military precision. The ship was still battered from their previous victory, but its core remained strong. The crew was hardened, more determined than ever to see this war through. The journey to the heart of enemy space. The Titan surged toward the heart of enemy territory, cutting through the stars like a blade. The journey was long and treacherous, but Captain Valen knew that there was no turning back. The fate of the galaxy now rested in their hands. The alien forces had retreated from the front lines, but Valen knew that they were not done. The enemy's fleet was reorganizing, licking its wounds, preparing for something far more catastrophic. And they would come for the Titan once again. But the Titan would not retreat. The crew would not falter. They had already proven what humanity was capable of. As the ship neared enemy space, the crew began their final preparations. Every member of the Titan's crew had faced the horrors of war. But now, the stakes were higher than ever. The target was clear, the ancient weapon that could erase systems from existence. If they didn't stop it, the enemy would hold the power to destroy everything humanity had fought for. Captain, Samuel said, his voice tinged with concern, we're entering their territory. The proximity sensors are picking up multiple fleets on the horizon. We knew they'd be waiting, Valen replied. Stand ready. We don't know what kind of resistance we'll face, but we have to reach that weapon before they activate it. The Titan entered the dense area of space controlled by the invaders. It was a maze of debris, hostile fleets, and strange energy fields that made navigation difficult. But the Titan was more than a warship. It was a beacon of humanity's refusal to yield, a sharp instrument forged in the fires of war. We've been detected, Tarkov warned. Multiple enemy ships incoming. They're trying to form a blockade. Valen's eyes hardened. We break through. All guns. Open fire. The Titan surged forward into battle, unleashing its full firepower at the approaching fleet. Plasma beams cut through the void, shredding enemy ships as they tried to form a defensive line. The Titan was a storm of destruction, and the enemy fleet was caught off guard by its sheer ferocity. But the enemy was relentless. The closer they got to the weapon's location, the more resistance they encountered. Ships larger than anything they had seen before appeared from the depths of space, hulking warships that towered over the Titan and seemed almost impervious to their weapons. "Captain, we can't keep this up," Samuels shouted. "We're taking heavy fire, and their ships are regrouping for another assault." "We don't stop," Valen roared. "We push forward, bring the shields up to maximum power, concentrate fire on their flagship." The Titan took a series of devastating blows, but its crew refused to yield. The shields flared and flickered, but they held steady. Each strike from the enemy was met with retaliation. The Titan was like a wolf, fighting against an overwhelming pack of foes, but the wolf would not back down. As the battle raged on, Valen realized that they were fighting not just for their survival, but for the survival of the entire galaxy. The invaders had their weapon, but they had something far stronger, a human will that would not break. The final strike. After hours of relentless fighting, the Titan finally reached the core of the enemy's operations. The weapon, the device that could obliterate entire systems, was within their grasp. It stood in the center of an ancient alien facility, surrounded by a field of powerful defenses. "We've reached the facility," Tarkov said, his voice filled with awe and fear. "But this place is crawling with their elite forces. We'll have to breach it if we want to destroy the weapon." Valen didn't hesitate. "We breach it. We end this today." The Titan deployed its remaining boarding pods, and the crew surged toward the enemy facility. The battle inside was fierce, with human soldiers cutting through alien defenses with precision and fury. The facility's corridors were filled with the sounds of battle, the clash of steel, the roar of weapons, and the screams of invaders who had underestimated the humans they thought they had conquered. As the crew fought their way through the facility, they finally reached the weapon, a massive, spherical construct of alien metal, pulsating with unimaginable energy. Valen stared at the device, her heart racing. She knew that destroying it would require every ounce of power the Titan had left, but it was the only option. "Prepare the charge," she ordered. "We're going to end this, no matter what it takes." The final moments felt like an eternity as the crew planted explosives around the device. With a single command, Valen initiated the detonation sequence. 5 seconds, Tarkov called. "Ready yourself." The countdown echoed through the facility, and as the timer reached 0, the facility erupted in a deafening roar. The weapon, along with the facility, was destroyed in a cataclysmic explosion. The shockwave tore through the fabric of space itself, obliterating the alien stronghold in one devastating blow. Epilogue: Humanity's triumph. The Titan limped back to friendly territory, battered but victorious. The destruction of the alien weapon marked the turning point in the war. The invaders, deprived of their most powerful weapon, were forced to retreat. The galaxy, once teetering on the brink of annihilation, now looked to humanity as a beacon of hope. A human warship enters the war zone, brace for impact. HFY Sci-Fi story, continued. The aftermath of victory. The victory against the alien fleet, the destruction of their ultimate weapon, and the eradication of the threat that had loomed over the galaxy was now in the past. The Titan limped back into friendly space, the sounds of warship engines humming steadily through the hull, but the crew's relief was palpable. In the debriefing room, Captain Valen stood before the assembled crew, her face solemn but resolute. There was no time for celebrations. They had won the battle, but the war was not over. "We've fought hard, and we've earned this moment," Valen began, her voice steady. "But the truth is, there are still more threats on the horizon. We've crippled the invaders' ability to continue their campaign, but there are factions out there that will see this as a sign of weakness. We can't afford to rest." A low murmur rippled through the crew. The battle had been long and brutal, and many had lost friends and comrades. They had given everything to end the threat. But Valen knew the galaxy had changed forever, and they would have to adapt to this new reality. "Humanity may have made a stand today, but we need to be vigilant. We can't assume the enemy will back down completely," Valen continued. "Our enemies know the potential we have. They will regroup. We need to be ready for whatever comes next. Tarkov, the Titan's tactical officer, stood up. Captain, if I may, he said, his voice filled with resolve. We've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of, not just as soldiers, but as a people who refuse to be oppressed. The invaders have felt the wrath of our resilience. The next time they come at us, they'll be facing a united front, a force unlike anything they've ever seen. Valen nodded. You're right, Tarkov. We are not the same as we were when this war started. Humanity has learned to fight, and we've learned to survive. This victory isn't just ours, it's for every world, every colony, and every person who stood up against tyranny, and we won't let anyone take that away. New challenges. With the galaxy at a crossroads, the Titan and her crew became part of a new movement. The unity forged in the fires of battle, the alliance between human colonies and the sympathetic alien species, began to evolve into something more. The galaxy had been shaken to its core, and a new era of cooperation, diplomacy, and vigilance had emerged. However, as Valen had predicted, the remnants of the alien empires were far from done. They had not simply been defeated, they were humiliated. And as history often proved, those who had lost often became more dangerous than before. Captain, Samuels called from the communications station. We've picked up strange readings coming from the outer rim. It looks like an unknown fleet is assembling. Valen's stomach tightened. The enemy had retreated, but they were clearly regrouping, ready to strike again, perhaps in greater numbers, or with new, more terrifying tactics. Prepare the Titan for a recon mission, she ordered. We need to know exactly what we're up against. Tarkov, get the fleet commanders on the line. We need a strategy, and fast. Understood, Captain, Tarkov replied, already tapping into the encrypted communications network. In the following days, the Titan set out to investigate the mysterious fleet, which had been gathering just beyond the galactic core. The crew worked around the clock, studying every piece of intel they had gathered, every transmission from the enemy's fleet. The closer they got, the more dangerous the mission became. We've got reports of strange signals from the region, Tarkov said, his eyes narrowed in concentration. The enemy might be using new technology, possibly something we've never seen before. Valen stood at the front of the bridge, her mind racing through possibilities. We'll need to take extra precautions. Whatever they've been working on, we can't afford to underestimate it. A new enemy. The Titan arrived in the region after several days of deep space travel. The fleet of alien ships was vast, an ominous shadow in the void. But what set this fleet apart was the unnatural quiet surrounding it. It was as though the very fabric of space had been altered. Something was off. Captain, the fleet's configuration is unusual, Tarkov reported, his voice low. They're not forming a traditional battle line. It's almost as if they're waiting. Valen's instincts told her this wasn't a typical ambush. She didn't like it. Samuels, get a reading on their power signatures. Tarkov, analyze the enemy fleet's movements. We need to know what they're planning. As the minutes stretched into hours, the mystery deepened. The enemy fleet made no aggressive moves, but it was too large to be ignored. There was something more than just firepower here. They were holding back, almost as if they were testing the Titan, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Captain, Samuels said, his voice now tinged with alarm. We're detecting a strange energy buildup in the center of their fleet. It's unlike anything we've seen before. Shields up. Brace for impact, Valen shouted, her eyes scanning the screen. The crew rushed to their positions, every member of the Titan springing into action as the tension mounted. But it wasn't just a standard weapon charge. The energy buildup intensified, and the ship's sensors began to pick up strange distortions in space itself. And then, in an instant, the fleet made its move. A massive pulse of energy shot forth from the heart of the enemy formation. It wasn't a weapon in the conventional sense, it was more like an electromagnetic pulse, but much, much more powerful. The Titan's shields flared to life, but the pulse hit them hard, sending shockwaves through the ship. We're losing power, Samuels yelled. The shields are failing. Systems are going offline. Hold on, Valen snapped. Tarkov, what the hell was that? I don't know, Captain, Tarkov said, his voice grim. But we've never seen anything like this. If this is what I think it is, they've weaponized a black hole generator. They can create localized gravity wells at will. destabilizing entire systems in moments. Valen's heart sank. If that was true, the galaxy's very foundation was under threat. The power to create black holes, even small ones, was far beyond any technology they had encountered. That's not a weapon we can outgun, Valen muttered, the realization dawning on her. No, Tarkov replied, but we can outsmart them. Valen looked at her crew, determination burning in her eyes. Prepare to engage at full speed. We won't let them use that weapon, not on our watch. The final gamble. The Titan maneuvered with all the agility she could muster, dodging more bursts from the alien fleet's gravity wells. But Valen knew they couldn't keep running. They had to disable that weapon before the enemy could finish deploying it. We need to get inside their fleet, Valen said. We've done the impossible before. We'll do it again. Tarkov, give me a way in. Tarkov studied the readings. There's a weak point in their fleet's formation. We can get close enough to board one of their ships, disable their gravity generator, and stop the weapon. Valen's fingers tightened around the command chair's armrest. Then we're doing it. All hands to stations. This is our final shot. The Titan broke formation, racing toward the enemy ship. They knew this mission was a gamble, one that would risk the lives of everyone aboard. But Valen also knew that if they didn't take this chance, the enemy would reshape the galaxy into something unrecognizable. With a fierce resolve, the Titan dove into the heart of the enemy fleet, her crew once again proving that nothing could break their spirit. A human warship enters the war zone, brace for impact. HFY Sci-Fi story, continued. A new alliance, forging the path forward. The Titan emerged from the blackness of space into the midst of the enemy fleet. The battle was fierce, and the pulse of energy from the black hole generator rocked their ship as it struggled against the gravitational anomaly. But the crew had already proven their mettle, their determination, and they weren't about to let this mysterious new weapon tear the galaxy apart. Captain Valen's eyes narrowed as the crew prepared for their final mission: infiltrate the heart of the enemy's formation, disable the gravity wells, and ensure the weapon was destroyed. This is it, Valen said firmly. We have one shot at this. If we fail, everything we've fought for will be lost. We do not fail. The tactical display on the command bridge glowed ominously with the positions of enemy ships. Tarkov and the crew were working furiously to navigate the Titan through the maze of hostile vessels, dodging concentrated energy blasts and maneuvering to avoid more black hole pulses. Samuels gripped the controls, his brow furrowed. Captain, we're getting closer, but the closer we get, the more concentrated their defenses become. If we don't act soon, we'll be boxed in. Then we'll move faster, Valen said. I want everyone prepared for boarding. We're going to take their weapon from the inside. Infiltrating the heart of the enemy fleet. The Titan crept ever closer to the enemy's flagship, the source of the gravitational anomalies. Valen could feel the tension mounting among her crew as the realization set in that the stakes were higher than ever before. This wasn't just another battle. This was their final gambit, the only chance to prevent the collapse of everything they had worked for. Captain, we're in range, Tarkov reported. I'm sending the signal to deploy boarding pods. The enemy's defenses are intensifying. Valen didn't hesitate. Deploy the pods. All teams, move out. The Titan's boarding pods launched with precision, carrying teams of elite soldiers who had trained for this very mission. The assault on the alien flagship was imminent. As the pods approached the enemy ship, Valen's heart raced. They had one objective: get to the core of the black hole generator and shut it down before it could be activated again. Steady, Valen muttered to herself as the boarding pods landed on the surface of the massive alien warship. The sound of pressure doors hissing open rang through the ship. The soldiers aboard had trained for every possible scenario, and they were ready. The enemy flagship was unlike anything humanity had encountered before, alien architecture that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Its walls shimmering with unnatural energy. It was a fortress, but the soldiers of the Titan were relentless. Captain, we've breached the inner sanctum, one of the team leaders reported. We're headed straight for the generator core. Good, Valen responded, her voice filled with authority. Take it out. We're relying on you. But as the crew advanced deeper into the ship, they were met with something unexpected. The halls were filled with a strange, eerie silence. The aliens had set traps along their path, forcing the Titan's forces to move cautiously. The security systems were far beyond what they had faced before, and the alien species seemed more prepared than ever for the threat humanity posed. "This is wrong," Tarkov said over the comms. "They're not defending this ship as fiercely as we thought. It's almost as if they're waiting for something." Valen's gut twisted. "Stay sharp. We've come too far to back down now." The unexpected twist. The crew of the Titan found themselves in the heart of the alien ship, where the black hole generator was housed in a vast chamber, surrounded by a pulsating aura of energy. The generator towered over them, its core pulsing with terrifying power. But there was something even more chilling in the room. The alien leader, standing before them, his tall form wrapped in shimmering armor, his eyes glowing with unnatural intensity. "I knew you would come," the alien leader said, his voice cold and calculating. "You may have destroyed our fleet and our weapon, but you cannot destroy what is already inevitable." Valen's hand instinctively moved to her sidearm. "What are you talking about?" The alien leader raised his hands, gesturing to the generator. "This weapon does not merely destroy. It warps reality itself. I've been watching you, humans. Your persistence, your drive, it's impressive. But it's a flaw. You fight for what you cannot control, for the very idea of survival. You think you've won, but in reality, you've just fallen into my trap." A sickening realization hit Valen as the alien continued speaking. The black hole generator wasn't just a weapon, it was a tool for rewriting the very laws of the universe. The alien leader wasn't just planning on annihilating humanity. He was attempting to rewrite the galaxy itself, to create a new order where his species ruled supreme and humanity was nothing more than a fleeting memory. "We'll stop you," Valen said, her voice full of defiance. "We're not going to let you get away with this." The alien leader smiled, a cruel twist of his lips. "You're too late." Without warning, the core of the black hole generator began to vibrate violently, sending shockwaves through the ship. The gravitational distortions surged, twisting the very fabric of space. The crew had only seconds to act. "Destroy it," Valen shouted, her heart racing. Now. The final clash. The Titan's boarding teams opened fire on the core of the generator, unleashing everything they had on it. Explosives planted in key areas were detonated, the resulting explosion shaking the ship to its very foundations. The alien leader screamed in fury, but there was no time for him to act. The core began to destabilize, its power spiraling out of control. "Captain, the generator is failing," Tarkov reported urgently. "We need to evacuate now. The whole ship is going to collapse." Valen didn't hesitate. "All units, fall back to the pods. We're leaving." The Titan's crew raced through the alien ship, the rumblings of the collapsing structure echoing through the halls. They had one chance to escape before the entire flagship was torn apart by the destabilizing black hole generator. They couldn't afford to waste a single second. As the crew boarded the pods and launched back to the Titan, the alien flagship erupted in a series of violent explosions, sending shockwaves through space. The black hole generator imploded, collapsing in on itself and taking the alien ship with it. The crew of the Titan watched in stunned silence as the enemy flagship was obliterated, its remnants disappearing into nothingness. The mission had been a success, but the price had been high. After the battle, a new era. The Titan limped back to the human fleet, the wreckage of the alien flagship still burning in their wake. Humanity had won another battle, but Valen knew the war wasn't truly over. This was a new beginning, one where humanity was no longer just a footnote in the galaxy. They had proven themselves capable of standing against the strongest forces in the universe. "Captain," Tarkov said, his voice full of awe, "we did it. The galaxy will never forget what we've done." Valen nodded solemnly, her eyes scanning the horizon of stars ahead. "It's not just about what we've done, it's about what we'll continue to do. We've proven that humanity has a place in the stars, and will defend it." The crew of the Titan stood together, looking out into the stars, knowing that they were not just survivors of a brutal war, they were the pioneers of a new era, a galaxy where humanity would no longer be underestimated, and where the strength of the human spirit would shine brighter than any weapon. Humanity had entered the war zone, and now, they were here to stay. End of story.